So what is your favorite part of the recording process as the producer?
I love molding clay. I love molding songs. People a lot of times come in with an idea that they are sometimes married to, and sometimes it's a little bit rougher outline or a little bit more basic. I like adding things. I like changing things that make the song a better song. And anything that I do as a producer is always, what fits the song best for an audience. And I like to look at it that way. So my favorite part is, making things make better sense and be a more efficient way of communicating to an audience, in the terms of a song. So molding a song like that is probably some of my favorite, and adding things, strings and percussion and stuff that I throw out to the band and they're surprised and they're happy. So
Is there a least favorite part of the process, of the
I
recording
think
process?
editing is probably my least favorite part of the process right now, and it's just because you do so much, it becomes pretty, pretty boring after a while,
Okay,
I guess.
sure.
But I mean, for a while it was pretty relaxing, and a lot of people enjoy editing.
Right.
I like just diving in and recording and making magic.
Okay. All right. Talk to me about click tracks, because I know you are very strongly for click tracks.
Yes.
Tell me the reasoning and your thoughts and.
Everybody that comes in here plays to a click track.
Right.
That's the end.
That's it. That's the rule. That okay.
Yeah.
Any specific like why you feel that way? I mean.
Well, with the click track, I think it keeps you more on time, and the average listener, when they hear a song that's off time, they might think, okay, something doesn't sound good or doesn't sound right. When it's on time, it sounds more correct, from a a mass audience perspective. It's not always the case, and there's plenty of songs, long before click tracks were around. Well, I shouldn't say that, they had metronomes and that, but there's some bands that have recorded records and songs without a click. But you're talking, top notch musicians, and and that's that. But I think just to make the listener be able to enjoy the song and not hear something wrong with it and hear something off. I mean, they won't necessarily say, "Hey, this is off tempo" or "It feels off tempo." It'll be like, something just doesn't really seem right, or it sounds amateur, or So I like to start with that solid foundation, and also from a licensing perspective, people like to line things up. On TV and film, with times, and if it's not to a click, there's no way they can do that.
What advice do you have for bands before they hit the studio? Like, what should the bands be prepared for before they come in?
Make sure your instruments are up to par. Make sure your drum heads are not 7 years old with dents all over them. There's a studio kit here that they're welcome to use if they feel that their kit isn't up to par. Guitars, make sure they're set up. Make sure, and you could easily look them up on YouTube, how to set up a guitar. It's fairly simple to do. Once you start getting into some of the Floyd Rose or acoustic stuff, it can get a little tricky, and then you might need to seek out a little bit more professional advice or help with that. So make sure your instruments are up to par before you come into the studio. Another thing too is to make sure your songs are done to a certain, make sure your lyrics are written, make sure your parts are down, because the tighter and the better it comes into the computer, the better it's going to sound coming out of it. I mean, there's only so much you can do sometimes, and I mean, if you have a drummer that comes in unprepared and things are a bit off time, you can edit it to be on time, but it sounds like it was edited to be on time. It's better if you got that feel and you can focus more on, trying a different fill here, or as opposed to, learning the part that it was intended.
Sure. What's your advice for bands when they're in the studio?
Come in with an open mind. And music is an art form, so it's tough sometimes, and you get married to your ideas and your emotions attached with the song. But come in with an open mind, and expect things to be a little intense. Like, you're gonna play things a long time. If you're a rhythm guitar player, you're probably playing guitar for 5-6 hours straight, so make sure your chops are up to par so your hands don't swell up. I mean, I had to play guitar on a couple tracks myself, and I'm not a guitar player by any means, and my hands were swelling up. I was shot after a couple tunes. So, but make sure you're up to par with that.
Cool.
Oh, and listen to your producer too.
So, So when bands come in here, they should expect a collaborative effort.
Yes. It's another member of the band, and it's not everything I say goes, because there is conversations that take place and little push and pull, give and take. But you know, for the most part, if you like the way that things sound coming out of the studio, you have to listen to the producer engineer's, you know, his words and what he has to say and do to get that sound that you like. And if you want a different type of sound, maybe a different studio is better for you. But I think coming prepared with singers is a thing. You do a lot of singing here. The better your part is rehearsed and you know the exact melody. A lot of times singers will come in and they're kind of somewhere around this melody or that melody. The better prepared you can come in, the less takes it'll get, and the better your voice will sound. And you know, so just again, being prepared, make sure you know your parts and they're written.
Why did you decide to go like per song instead of the per hour model?
Because I don't want
for affordability, or I mean, what?
Affordability. I don't want bands to be stressed. I know what it's like to be in there per hour, and me as a singer back 15 years ago when I was in the studio singing, I was horrible, and I felt like I was draining the band's funds and pockets, and I felt bad, and it was just, it was stressful, and I don't want bands to come in here and have to worry about that.